to take a moment to speak to all of the astrological apprentices in every year so far. As you know, I've been getting to your papers and I've been grading them. Many of you I've responded to, and some of you I haven't. Do keep in mind that I have many classes, and each student of those classes on the apprenticeship track, each submitting around 3,000 words of paper to consider and grade. And overall, it's been going pretty well. I've only had a few instances where we've had to go into a little more detail and discussion to clarify certain points. But again, as with every year, it seems that you all are getting the information as clearly as I could have wanted you to. So it's all good there. I'm just asking for your patience in regards to continuing the grading of your papers and responding to them. Also, I want to share, just how pleased I am with the interaction that we've had so far this year. We've already gone through 2 classes. We have 1 more class to go to finish out this year's worth of study. And then you'll have a good 3 to 4 months break in between this last class, the end of the last class, and next year. So that's a great time for you to go through your notes, to use example charts to make sure that you understand what you're learning. That way you're prepared for the next year's courses. But again, so far that's not been a problem with any students. Everyone who's been able to continue, who's passed, who's been accepted in the next year, it's all fine. So start considering what you're going to do for self-study in the next few months after we finish this final course for the current year that you're in. I will be spending a little more time even reviewing old papers. I keep throwing around this idea of taking the papers of students and turning them into some kind of periodical or book, because many of the things that you have written, especially your example papers, they're wonderful learning tools. I mean, the example charts that you've pulled out, when I read it and I see what you've written and I see how it matches up, 98% of the time, it's pretty interesting, pretty beautiful. And so I've learned a lot of things about numerous people, famous people, and even non-famous people. And I've also seen, just to reconfirm how this all works, how it all fits together. And I don't know if you've ever heard me say before, but one of the things that I've enjoyed about astrology is, even though I've been doing it for all these years, it always surprises me. I mean, when I hear people tell me, oh, you did this reading for me, 10 years ago, and the things that you mentioned are still happening, I'm like, oh, that's great. Who knew? And I don't know why it always brings a sense of ever new joy. I guess it's my skeptical nature that always makes me wonder, how does this actually work? And then to see people coming back and saying, yeah, it does, it just makes me chuckle inside. So maybe you'll find that to be true as well. But overall, it's been a real joy to see how you've done your work, how you've written your papers, and just how it all fits together. Now, a few of you have tried to jump ahead a bit, and I understand that, because many of you have already had experience with astrology, whether it's self-teaching or studying with other individuals. So some of you have tried to jump ahead, for example, trying to apply some Lajatatiya Avashtas or Shadbala, where you haven't gotten there yet. And for example, in year 3, it's not until the beginning of year 3 that we actually explore Rahu and Ketu. And many people say, but I want to include Rahu and Ketu now, because everyone talks about how wonderful Rahu and Ketu is to include in a reading. And the individuals that have made it through to year 3, once they completed that first class on Rahu and Ketu, I can't think of any of them that didn't send me an email and say, okay, well, it makes perfect sense now. I understand why you waited that long to do something like Rahu and Ketu, because I needed this background work. I needed this background understanding before I could really get into it beyond the more superficial or cliched aspects of Rahu and Ketu that everyone knows. And again, they're cliched because most of the time they're true. So you can use much of the general information from things that you know on your own. But I don't advise doing that in this class. For example, if you're in year 1 or year 2, don't jump ahead to dashas and avashtas and Rahu and Ketu and Vargas. Don't do it. I know you want to, and I know you probably have some ideas of how it works, but this is set up in a systematic way so that when you get to the actual class, you will understand why we built it up the way we did. So, part of being an astrological apprentice and part of that final result of completing the program and having all of your papers done, and I would advise that you keep your papers, because maybe you're going to start your own website. Use those papers as articles that you put on your website, especially the ones that have been accepted, because they're wonderful. They express really fantastic examples of astrology. But once you get through the whole program, the fact that you've done the work, the fact that I know that you're patient, the fact that I see that you're thoughtful, well, those are the people who make it that far. And you're not going to make it to year 3 if you're not that way, so don't worry about it. But those people who make it that far to the completion of the program, that's why I'm going to put you on my website, ashevillevedicastrology.com. That's why I started featuring, or at least one so far. I've got a few more lined up, students from at least year 3 on YouTube, because I want to support them in the work that they're doing, because they're going to do good work, and they are doing good work. So if you're not going to be patient, you're probably not going to make it through to the end of the program. And even if you do and you're impatient, I might be a little bit hesitant about recommending people to you, because patience, understanding, faith, these are some of the virtues that an astrologer needs as they do their practice, as they trust themselves and their higher guidance and the things that they've learned as well. But anyway, overall, I just wanted to take the time to just speak to all of you. Over these last few years, this apprenticeship program, working with many of the students, getting to know them, I feel like I've become very intimately some of the students, even though I think I've only met, I don't know if might have met 1 or 2 of you actually in person. But you start to see how people write, and you start to see how you interact with people, what kind of qualities that they have. So I'm extremely pleased, and I'm happy to see what's going down with the program, and that as the years go by, that you will be the ones going out into the world, doing the conferences, having your own YouTube videos, doing your own sessions, and bringing this information to people, because we are in a renaissance of astrology, as you know, and it does take grounding in these principles to really see with an eye of discernment just how it all works. So thank you again for the opportunity to work with you and to speak with you and to learn with you and to grow with you, because I'm learning too. Always keep in mind, I've said it before, that most of the time in my life when I've learned something and I've taught other people, they've tended to become a heck of a lot better than me, a lot quicker than me. So it is my hope and my goal, I'm already seeing it happen, that happens with you as well. So you need to take astrology, you need to take what you learn and keep the foundation. Don't get all crazy with it and start mixing up with other systems, but build upon it, explore it, and help it grow through you as well. But anyway, it's great. You all are doing well, and those of you that have had a little bit of struggle, we're working through it, and that's not very many of you. So let's continue on.